some of the biggest stars in boxing history, and this weekend we welcome home our favorite son with Subriel Matias. Makes his second defense of his 140-pound title. He takes on undefeated Australian Liam Paro in front of a sold-out crowd in Manatee.
How do you reflect on the last few outings?
It's going to be war. It's going to be violence.
Liam, the prodigy, Paro!
It's the ultimate test, and it's for them to be honest, one point away.
Yo no quiero tirar lo que quiero es que sufra y dejar el mensaje contundente a la división.
Ready to shock the world, baby.
Paro started lighting love up.
Voy a salir un animal en busca de su presa, que en este caso viene siendo Liam Paro.
No one wants to fight him, and man, I believe I can get the job done, and I am the captain of the division.
Paro, see you soon.
That's what I've always said, just get me in the opposite corner of a world title and I'll do the rest, and yeah, ready to make history.
This is the homecoming of Puerto Rico's new superstar.
We are inside the Manatee Convention Center here in Puerto Rico. Tremendous event coming up here on Saturday Live on DAZN. I'm Chris Mannix. He is the former junior middleweight champion, Sergio Mora. And Sergio, I know you are high on Subriel Matias. You think he is one of the boogeyman in this 140-pound division, but he's got a tough test in front of him in Liam Paro, who is undefeated and coming off maybe the best win of his career.
Back-to-back good wins with Liam Paro. And what I really like about him is that he's not only tough, but he brings strength to the table, and he follows a fight IQ. He follows a game plan. So power's not going to be enough to intimidate this man from down under because he knows what it takes, and he fights winners. You know, his resume's the goods right there. So Subriel Matias and the numbers and the power that he brings to the table is not going to be enough to intimidate Paro. It's going to be a hell of a fight.
You know, Subriel Matias doesn't bring a lot of technique to the table, doesn't bring a ton of footwork to the table, but he does bring raw strength and raw power. What makes this guy so special?
Well, the fact that he throws so many punches, I mean, 80-plus punches around, and he's throwing them, they're all power punches. And he's a tall, lanky puncher. Normally, you know, he's fighting behind a jab. No, this is a man that relies on volume, uppercuts, body shots. Once he starts nailing you to the body, the end is near, is what I'm saying. So, anyway, this man's a scary man. I almost got scared talking about him right now.
All right, we are in Puerto Rico, so we do have a Puerto Rican heavy undercard, including Yankiel Rivera, 2021 Olympian, the only Puerto Rican boxer representing the island. Yankiel Rivera 5-0 right now in his young career, but he's got a very tough test in front of him. What do we need to see from Yankiel Rivera? Well,
you know, he needs to dominate just like he did last time against Andy Dominguez, but he got rocked against that fight, you know. So he needs to follow a game plan all the way to the end because we know he has that Olympic pedigree. We know he could box. He has the power, he has the speed, he has the backing, but he has to check that chin, keep it tucked all the way to the end. If he can't get the knockout, then he has to cross the finish line unscathed.
All right, we're just about ready to begin this weigh-in. Matias against Paro, huge event on Saturday night. Let's go up to the stage at David Diamante.
Damas y caballeros, buenas tardes y bienvenidos a Manatí, Puerto Rico, para el pasaje oficial del gran evento ese sábado por la noche. Presentado por Señor Eddie Hearn de Matchroom Boxing y Fresh Productions. Todo en vivo por DAZN, patrocinado por Bet Online. Stagefront, Everlast, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Riyadh Season, Drip, Municipio de Manatí y Campaña de Turismo de Puerto Rico. Damas y caballeros, tenemos un evento muy grande. 5 peleas, 4 títulos y un título del mundo. Y el campeón del mundo de Boricua, el orgullo de Maternillo, Subriel Matias. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a great event, 5 fights, 4 title fights at the top of the bill. It's the Boricua Kingpin at 140 pounds making the second world title defense. Subriel Matias against the very tough, undefeated Aussie Southpaw, Liam Paro. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the fighters up to the stage so they can face the scale and face each other. El primer combate de la noche, 6 asaltos, peso super ligero. Récord profesional, 6 victorias, 2 derrotas con 3 victorias por vía del knockout. Peleando fuera Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, Carlos Mitzael. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. He's undefeated, 5-0 with 4 knockouts. De Toa Alto, Puerto Rico, William Ortiz. Ortiz.
Those 2 young fighters, a lot on the line for them.
138.6, 138.6, 138.6 for Carlos Misael. And now to the scale, please welcome Melito William Ortiz. 140.1 libras, 140.1, 140.1 for Ortiz. Misael versus Ortiz, 6-round super lightweights, Matchroom Boxing and Fresh Productions, live on DAZN from Manatí, Puerto Rico.
Sergio, they're expecting 10,000 fans in the arena right across the street, and that's why they've really put a lot of Puerto Rican flavor on this undercard.
When don't you have flavor when it comes to Puerto Ricans? I mean, they can box, they can cook, they can dance, they can do it all, man. I'm looking forward to the crowd, the atmosphere. It's going to be insane.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next contest, we're going 10 rounds for the WBA Continental Americas and the WBO International Welterweight Championship. Now making a way to the stage, a professional record, 7-1 with 2 knockouts, fighting out of Mexicali, Baja California, Puro Chingale, Diana La Jefa Tapia. And her opponent now making her way to the stage. She's a southpaw, undefeated, 6-0, 2 knockouts. De Bayamon, Puerto Rico. Please welcome the medicine, Stephanie Pineda.
Pretty good fight, Sergio, in the 147-pound division.
Now to the scale, Diana Tapia. 146.8, 146.8 for Tapia. Now to the scale, the medicine, Stephanie Pinero. 146.9, 146.9 for Pinero.
You see Eddie Hearn holding up a couple of those regional titles in his arms. And the big prize at stake for the winner of this fight, an opportunity perhaps to fight Sandy Ryan for the 147-pound belt either later this year or sometime next year.
This is going to be a tough fight. I mean, this is a coming out party for Stephanie Pinero, but she's in there tough with Tapia. Tapia is accustomed to fighting undefeated fighters. Her last 5 opponents, 15-0. This is a hungry fighter in Tapia.
Pinero versus Tapia, 10 rounds, WBA Continental Americas, WBO International Welterweight Championship, Matchroom Boxing and Fresh Productions, live on DAZN from Manatí, Puerto Rico. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the weigh-in continues right now. We got 10 rounds for the WBO NABO Junior Welterweight Championship. Now making his way to the stage, his professional record, 14 wins against 2 defeats. He's got 6 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Fajardo, Puerto Rico, by way of Moca, República Dominicana. Please welcome the former WBA Fed Latin and the WBC Feakerbox Lightweight Champion, Alfredo Santiago.
Alfredo Santiago back in 2019 went the distance with Devin Haney in his most notable fight.
Yeah, a little inactivity with Santiago.
And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His professional record, 22 victories, 1 defeat, 2 draws, con 17 victorias por vía del knockout. He got 17 wins by knockout. Representando Team Zona Norte y peleando fuera Tijuana, Baja California. He's ranked number 3 in the world by the WBO. Here's the reigning WBO, NABO lightweight champion, Angel Tashiro Fierro.
Angel Fierro, a known commodity in boxing, making the move up in weight, though, for this fight to 140 to challenge Santiago.
All right, now to the scale. Alfredo Ojo Santiago. 140 libras, 140 pounds. The junior welterweight limit for Alfredo Ojo Santiago. And now to the scale, Tashiro Angel Fierro. Igual, la mismo, 140 libras también, the 140 pounds. The junior welterweight limit also for Tashiro.
You know, both these guys about to go face-to-face. They both have weighed in at 140 pounds. But as we're about to see, a size advantage coming in for Santiago.
Size advantage definitely by height and length, but Fierro is no stranger coming to Puerto Rico and fighting the hometown fighter. We've seen it before against Machado. This is a bad Mexican right here. Strong, comes forward, buzzsaw, looking for the knockout. This is going to be an exciting fight right here.
What do you think about the weight jump here for Fierro? He's had some success at 135, now testing the waters
Check
at
it.
140.
Fierro Santiago, 10 rounds, WBO, NABO Junior Welterweight Championship. Matchroom Boxing and Fresh Productions live on DAZN from Manatee, Puerto Rico.
But to answer your question, Chris, I don't think the weight jump's going to be an issue here because he carries power well, Fierro does. And when you're dealing with a fighter like Santiago, who's been inactive, 2 fights ago, he got stopped as well. So, these are the red flags that I'm more concerned about.
All right, well, coming up next, we do have a new co-main event. Yanquiel Rivera moved up into the co-main event slot, the former 2021 Puerto Rican Olympian, and a prospect that a lot of people in boxing, Sergio, are excited about.
I'm excited about him. I mean, when we called this fight against Andy Dominguez, he was dominating that fight. And when he's in cruise control like that, it's going to be hard to beat him. But he did get rocked in that fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the co-main event of the evening, Co-Estelar de la Noche. We're going 10 rounds for the WBC, WBA Continental Americas, and the WBO Intercontinental Flyweight Championship. Now making his way to the stage, professional record, 37 victories, 4 defeats, with 23 big wins coming by way of knockout. He's the former WBC International Silver Super Flyweight Champion, fighting out of Tijuana, Baja California, Mexico, Victor Chucky Sandoval. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. His young professional record undefeated. 5 fights, 5 victories, with 2 of them coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Bayamon, Puerto Rico. Here is the 2020 Olympian and the reigning, defending, undefeated WBC Continental Americas Flyweight Champion, Yanquiel El Doctorcito Rivera. Now to the scale, Victor Chucky Sandoval. Siete 12 libras, 112 pounds. The The flyweight limit right there for Sandoval, 112 pounds. And now to the scale, Yanquiere Dr. Cito Rivera. 111.7 libras, 111.7 for Dr. Cito, 111.7.
Sergio, I am really excited about this fight. There's a lot of expectations, coming in but this fight against Sandoval, it's a very difficult fight.
Very difficult fight, but you got boxer versus puncher here. And Sandoval, he's no stranger to mixing it up. In his last fight against another Sandoval, it was a rock and sock type war. This is the type of fight where he's going to have to follow and try to. He's not going to outbox Yanquiel Rivera. He's going to try to outfight him, but it's up to Yanquiel not to give him that.
Yanquiel Rivera just 5-0 in his young career, but the guy in Sandoval he's facing has more wins than all of the 4 opponents that Yanquiel Rivera has faced combined.
Yeah, but Rivera brings that Olympic pedigree, that amateur backing. So that, with all that experience,
Rivera versus Sandoval, 10 rounds for the WBC, WBA Continental Americas, and the WBO Intercontinental Flyweight Championship. Matchroom Boxing and Fresh Productions, live on DAZN from Manatí, Puerto Rico.
I was talking to members of Yanquiel Rivera's team earlier this week. They believe he's only about 2 fights away from a world championship, but this is going to be a very stiff test, a bit of a barometer to see where Yanquiel Rivera is.
It really is. I mean, with 5 fights, but with so much amateur pedigree, you're allowed to, fast forward and have success. And Rivera, his eye is on the prize, and they're going to move him really quick because he's that talented.
Yeah, Victor Sandoval, 4 losses in his career, but his last fight, he gave Ricardo Sandoval, another prospect, all he could handle in that fight. So I think this has the potential to be the fight of the night.
Damas y caballeros, buenas tardes y bienvenidos aquí a Manatí, Puerto Rico, para el pasaje oficial del gran evento ese sábado por la noche. Presentada por Señor Eddie Hearn and Fresh Productions. And ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to weigh in the main event of the evening as we go 12 rounds for the IBF Junior Welterweight Championship of the World. Now making his way to the stage, please welcome El Retador, the challenger. Professional record, 24 victories, no defeats, with 15 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Mackay, Queensland, Australia. Saturday night, he makes his first attempt at a world title. Here is the reigning and undefeated WBO Global Super Lightweight Champion, Liam Paro. And his opponent now making his way to the stage. He is the defending world champion, and Saturday night he'll be making the second defense of his world title. Professional record, 20 victories, 1 defeat. All 20 of his wins coming by way of knockout. Peleando fuera, Fajardo, Puerto Rico. Here is the reigning and the defending IBF Junior Welterweight Champion of the World, el orgullo de Maternillo, Subriel Matias.
A great reception for Subriel
And now to the scale, the challenger, Liam Paro. $140 libras, 140 pounds, the junior welterweight limit for the challenger, Liam Paro. And now to the scale, the defending world champion, Subriel Matias. Lo mismo, igual, 140 libras, 140 pounds for the defending world champion, Subriel Matias.
A great reception, Sergio, for Subriel Matias, who will make the second defense of his 140-pound title. And he'll do it in his first fight here in Puerto Rico since 2019.
Yeah, it doesn't get bigger than that. Fighting in front of your hometown crowd. I mean, your fans that have been supporting you from day one. I mean, they're excited about the power. They're excited about doing it against a fighter like Liam Paro, who's a road warrior. This is the type of man that is not afraid of anybody. And this is an evenly matched matchup right here as far as size and everything aside from power.
Yeah, very tough opponent, Liam Paro, who is peaking right now as a fighter coming off that big win over Montana Love.
Subriel Matias, Liam Paro, 12 rounds for the IBF Junior Welterweight Championship of the World. Matchroom Boxing and Fresh Productions live on DAZN de Manatí, Puerto Rico.
Both these guys headed off the stage. Subriel Matias ready to make his homecoming fight. First fight here on the island in 5 years. Liam Paro getting ready for that first world title opportunity. If you remember, he was supposed to face Regis Prograis last year for the WBC belt. He suffered an injury before that fight. Now here he is, just about a year later, getting that first world title opportunity. Chris Mannix joined by Sergio Mora. Sergio, there's a lot to unpack with this world title fight, but my biggest question is, can Liam Paro stay away from Subriel Matias for 12 rounds?
He's going to have to, because if he mixes it up with a beast like this, it's not going to last long. I mean, there's a fighter, a southpaw in Paro, that knows how to fight like a southpaw. He knows how to fight inside. He knows how to follow a game plan. And he's tough. He has good pop on his punches as well. So he's going to be able to win some early rounds. Can he do it all the way to the end? And how is he going to react when he finally gets hit by a power puncher like Paro, like Subriel Matias? That's the dangerous part right there. How is he going to react? Are the legs going to shake? Is he going to be able to withstand the 80 power punches per round? That's what we're going to have to unpack, like you said.
Yeah, look, we've seen Subriel Matias lose some of those early rounds. He lost the first round against Ergashev in his last fight, went on to stop Ergashev. He is able to overcome some early concerns and get back into fights and win. His strength and power is his greatest asset. Here we are, joined by Liam Paro, ready to go, making the weight, 140 pounds. How are you feeling a day before the fight?
Man, I'm feeling good. This is it. You know, this is what dreams are made of. I'm excited. It's been a warm welcome here in Puerto Rico, and man, I'm ready to get it on.
You've been able to size up Subriel Matias a couple of times this week. When you stood right next to him right there, what did you see?
Look, you see another guy in front of me, you know, in the way of my dream. So I'm excited to get in there and share the ring with him. He's a tremendous champion, but I believe we have the right prep to shock the world.
You know, on paper, both of you guys are 5'8". You guys have the same reach. But looking at him face to face, you think you're the same size as him? Do you think it's going to be an issue as far as the reach, the height, anything?
Nah, look, we prep perfectly. You know what I mean? Obviously, he's got a bit of hard day. You can't really read everything believe everything you read on the internet. But hey, it is what it is. We're prepped perfect, the right sparring, and like I said, I'm just ready. I believe it's my time.
And you said you're going to rehydrate up to 155 pounds. That's still the goal. You're going to come in here once you pass that IBF 10-pound weight, and you're going to try to get to 145, 155?
No, look, it's just there's no target. It's just what we're going feeling good. But yes, I can go up to 155. It's just how I feel on the day, how I'm feeling, how my body's feeling. I listen to my body, and yeah, sometimes a bit lighter, sometimes a bit heavier. It's just how I'm feeling, and yeah.
You know, Liam, you've said all week that you're not going to be stupid enough to stand in front of this guy. You're going to try to box a little bit more in this fight. But more likely than not, at some point, it's going to become a slugfest in the middle of the ring. How confident are you? Smile right there. You're ready for it. How confident are you?
I know what I'm getting into. Like I said, I'm coming into the Lions Den, full respect to him. But I know it's going to get down and dirty. We're going to have to fight. This is a world title. It's as big as it gets. This is the biggest test. So, man, I'm ready. I'm ready for anything.
You know, I mentioned right before you came up here that you were scheduled to face Regis Prograis last year for the WBC version of the belt. Do you feel like you're a better fighter now than you were a year ago?
Yeah, definitely. I got another good win under my belt, a good notable win in Montana Love, and it just set us up. It was a good statement to get back here, and look at 6 months later, we're fighting for a title. So I'm ready physically, mentally, and the little breakaway from the ring really motivated me, really sparked that fire in my belly. So I'm ready to give everything in there on Saturday night.
All right, we're looking forward to that one. Saturday night, Liam Paro, Subriel Matias, 140-pound title on the line. That's happening Saturday. 2 weeks from now, we will be in Phoenix, where Bam Rodriguez will take on Gallo Estrada.
Exactly what he needs. The best be the best. Estrada's a huge star, risking it all. You talk about pound for pound great fighters, Bam Rodriguez.
Once we're in that ring, there's no respect.
This kid is super special.
From here on out, it's just big fight after big fight. I can't wait to put on the show.
A fight of the year contender written all over it.
Hey champ, I know why you're here. You're a born winner, the top dog. You have a proper punch on you. It only takes one, eh? But I know you're not all about throwing haymakers. You know your bobs from your weaves, and you know DAZN's got over 150 fights every year. Over 150. Proper stat. All the action, the chaos, the comebacks, the non-stop knockouts. Big fights every week. So get those gloves back on. Together, we're boxing royalty. DAZN, undisputed.
Well, just about 2 weeks' time, we will get Bam Rodriguez, Gallo Estrada, 115-pound supremacy, Phoenix, Arizona, live on DAZN. We are back here in Manatee, Puerto Rico, and joined by one of the favorite sons of Puerto Rico, I should say, Subriel Matias, making your second defense of the 140-pound title. But it is just your first fight here since 2019. Any extra nerves being back home?
Sí, bienvenido en primer lugar. Obviamente es tu segunda defensa aquí de este título de 140 libras, pero es tu primera vez aquí desde el 2019. ¿Hay nervios?
Para ser honesto, en el libro es mi segunda defensa, pero para mí, por mis sentimientos y lo que estoy presenciando con mi público, pues sería mi primera. Entonces creo que mi gente ya sabe lo que yo doy y de lo que soy capaz, y no esperen un menos de un no más tío.
So I think it might be my first time since that period of time, but I think, you know, it's always great to defend your title in front of your people. I think they know what I'm capable of on Saturday.
How different are you as a fighter since then? You've won a world championship since then. You have stopped your last 5 opponents where they have quit in their corner. How different are you as a fighter?
Sí, ¿qué tan diferente eres? Obviamente, en tus últimas 5 peleas, los que te han enfrentado se han quitado, no han podido continuar. ¿Qué tan diferente eres ahora como boxeador?
Eso, ¿verdad? Se lo dejo a los expertos del boxeo que descifren lo que ellos crean que yo soy. Para mí soy un buen peleador más y me disfruto, ¿verdad? Cada vez que me subo al ring.
So I think that's for the experts to decide, you know, you guys, the experts to decide. I feel like I'm just a normal fighter, and that's how I feel about it.
You see that, Sergio? He called us experts. What do you think about that?
Well, he's an expert power puncher. Now, I want to ask him, is it going to be a disappointment if he can't get Paro out of there? I mean, this is an undefeated fighter. It's a lot to ask, but if you can't get him out of there, it's not going to be a disappointment for him.
Vas a estar decepcionado si no le puedes sacar ahí, porque obviamente te enfrentes a un boxeador invicto en Liam Paro. Va a haber un poco de decepción si no puedes sacarle de ahí.
Creo que he enfrentado 5 invictos y antes de eso varios peleadores que no habían sido noqueados. En el libro salen 5 corridos que se han quitado, pero en realidad son algunos 8.
So what I would say is that, you know, when I go in and face these fighters, I've taken the O's from lots of fighters. You look at those 5 fighters that quit in the ring, but there were lots that, you know, that I hurt and would have been able to continue as well.
This is your first fight under the Matchroom banner. You fought on some big cards before, but here you are, headlining in Puerto Rico, 10,000 fans expected to be in the building tomorrow night. You got an undefeated opponent in front of you. Is this your chance, not just to win, but to send a message to the rest of the 140-pound division?
Si obviamente vas a enfrentar tu posibilidad de defender tu título delante de tu gente, 10,000 personas, vas a enfrentar a un peleador invicto, pero es tu oportunidad también para dar un mensaje a esa división el sábado por la noche.
Creo que el mensaje soy yo, el orgullo de Maternillo. creo que ya ellos al presenciar, escuchar ese nombre, saben que se exponen a posiblemente salir lastimados.
So, you know, I'm going in there as the Orgullo de Martinillo, the pride of Martinillo. You know, those names, we'll see what I'm capable of on Saturday night.
Well, Subriel, good luck to you on Saturday. We look forward to a big night, big event, 10,000 plus in the building on Saturday. Thanks and good luck to you.
Muchas gracias. Y suerte no, suerte es para el que no trabaja. Éxito. Yo trabajé para esto.
Yeah, thanks very much for the interview, you know, and I've worked hard to be successful, so let's hope that happens.
There he goes, Subriel Matias. He'll be live Saturday night right next door here in Manatee, Puerto Rico, defending his 140-pound title, IBF champion, making his second defense of that title. There will be a packed house there in Manatee for that fight. And again, man to thank for that, in part, is his promoter, Eddie Hearn, joining us here on set at the Convention Center. Eddie, good crowd here for Subriel Matias, and a big opportunity for him, as I just asked him, not just to win, but to make a statement in this division.
Yeah, it's going to be wild tomorrow night. You know, one of those iconic nights where you come into someone's backyard. You know, a country that is steeped in history in boxing, but doesn't always get those big nights. Tomorrow they've got one, 10,000 in Manatee, and it's going to be an unbelievable fight. Great card as well, by the way, even starting off with William Ortiz. That's an all Puerto Rico clash, great fight. Stephanie Pinheiro in a really good fight. Look out particularly for Rivera, Yanquiel against Sandoval. I think that's a really, really tough fight. And Fierro's in deep as well, but the main event's going to be a cracker, Subriel Matias. I did switch the Rivera and Sandoval fight with Fierro because I think, judging by the response I've seen this week, Yanquiel is a bit of a star here, you know, and that's going to be a really, really tough fight tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think Yanquiel Rivera, I mean, that's the toughest test of his career by far. When I talk to members of Rivera's team, they're nervous about this particular fight. They want the other fights. They'll talk about a Sonny Edwards fight. They'll talk about other big fights. But they know getting through Sandoval is not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, you know, a lot of those guys, they're all world level. They're all elite guys. Sandoval is capable of winning a world title. And if he comes through Sandoval, there's absolutely no steps backwards. All of the names that you mentioned are natural fights, and you know, we've seen with the response that he's had this week, we'll see in the arena tomorrow night. This is another star from the island, but might even be an underdog tomorrow night. You know, he's 5-0, he's inexperienced and professional. Although he looked fantastic last time, you're right, he was hurt late on in the fight. He came through it. Hopefully that experience will put him in a good position, but that'll be a fantastic thriller tomorrow night.
I mean, you must have a lot of confidence in Rivera to match up a fighter with over 40 fights, only been stopped one time. And like you said, in his last fight in Dominguez, he got rocked. He was dominating that fight, but he got rocked in that fight. Now you put him up against another tough Mexican that's only been stopped once. You have a lot of confidence in Rivera.
The thing is as well, Sergio, is in that weight class, like, there really isn't a lot of hanging around. You know, if you're a good fighter, if you've got the pedigree like Yanquiel has, as an Olympian, a very good amateur, you're always disadvantaged against the experienced pros. But also, you know, you want to fast track these guys. And the great thing about those divisions is everybody's willing to take risks. Everybody's willing to face the champions. We see it from the top with Sonny Edwards, you know, recently against Bam, now Bam against Estrada against Chocolatito, Rung Visay. Everybody around that weight class for so long. And Yanquiel is now some fresh blood down there at 112 pounds. Like I said, he has massive support from the island. And, you know, I think he's an underdog tomorrow night. I really do. And I think it'll be a real war.
Matias has a world title belt, and now he has a big promoter behind him. Does a dominant performance by Matias tomorrow make your job easier or harder when it comes to making a big
that's
fight?
a good question. I mean, easier in the respect of the whole world, the boxing community, every fight fan wants to see him in those marquee fights. I've said before, you know, I'll say it again, Subriel Matias against Teofimo, Subriel Matias against Pitbull Cruz. You're talking about, you know, some of the very best fights in boxing. On the flip side, if he looks devastating, it's even harder to match him against those guys. Sometimes an under-par performance can help you get the fights, but at the same time, he's in deep as well. You know, I mean, the difference with Subriel is he's not a Crawford or he's not a Boots, but he's a real relentless handful. He's a different type of fighter. So people will see chinks in the armour. People will say that the footwork's not great. People will say the defence is not great. He gets hit. But what you got to be careful about is what's coming back. And it's coming back thick and fast and at a pace like you've never seen. So you've got to be really good. Your movement's got to be great. Your feet's got to be great. But you've got to get his respect. And you've got to be able to punch hard enough to take away his will. And I'm not even sure if that's take-awayable, if that's even a word. So, you know, you're going to see all action from Subriel Matias, but Paro's more than capable.
Well, that's my question. My last
yeah.
question. Does Liam Paro have what it takes to upset the apple cart? Does he have the skill set to pull off the upset?
I mean, he has the skill set to cause him problems. I think, you know, he's a crafty southpaw with good feet. I think he has a good mentality. I don't think he's going to be overawed by the occasion. That's a good thing. But you never know until you get in there when it's coming on you. And you know, I see fighters before. I remember watching Gennady Golovkin up close when he was in his prime. It's non-stop, like, you know, and you're looking at these punches rain in. There's nowhere to hide. And you can have great feet, you can have great movement, but you're going to get walked down, you're going to get cut off, and at times you have to stand and fight in the trenches. Doesn't matter how slick you are. So you've got to be able to be slick, but box in parts. You've got to be able to fight on the inside. You've got to be able to have a good chin, and you've got to be able to have his respect. So you're talking about an elite few that may be able to beat him. We'll see if Liam's one of them.
Well, Eddie, we appreciate you stopping by. You'll be one of more than 10,000 people in that building tomorrow night for Subriel Matias defending his 140-pound title against Liam Paro. We will be there as well, 7:30 Eastern Time. We go live on DAZN. Matias against Paro. I don't think the judge will be necessary. We'll see you tomorrow night.
How do you reflect on the last few items?
It's going to be war. It's going to be violence.
Liam, the prodigy, Paro!
It's the ultimate test, and it's what I dreamt about, is one fight away.
Yo no quiero tirar lo que creo que sufra y dejar el mensaje contundente a la división.
Ready to shock the world, baby.
Paro started lighting love up.
Voy a salir un animal en busca de su presa, que en este caso viene siendo Liam Paro.
No one wants to fight him, and man, I believe I can get the job done, and I am the captain of the division.
Paro, see you soon.
That's all I've always said, just get me in the opposite corner of a world title and I'll do the rest, and yeah, ready to make history.
This is the homecoming of Puerto Rico's new superstar.